Hello, dear ones. Hello, hello. Going live on all the things. Going live on Instagram. Going live on Facebook. Hello. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the very first self-love sermon. Once you do hop on, be sure to put a comment in the chat just letting me know that you're here, that you've arrived and you're with us tonight. This is the first self-love sermon. I'm hoping this can be a regular Tuesday night gathering for a community of people who are curious about self-care, who want to love themselves more. Once you've arrived, just place a comment in the chat so I know you're here. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. My name is Ellen Gilbert. I'm a self-care coach. We'll talk about what that means. Basically, I'm a life coach and I specialize in mindfulness, embodiment, and self-compassion. So I really work with my clients who are hardworking, busy people, mostly women, who are headed towards burnout most of the time because we live in a culture that really places our worth in our productivity, in our output. And that, dear ones, is why so many of us burn out or are headed that way. But it doesn't have to be that way. I truly believe that we have a choice. Every moment is another time that you can choose to forgive yourself and turn back toward your intention to love yourself more, to not suffer. It sounds so trite, but it really can be that simple. And I know so many of us tonight, June 2020, we are joining from a place of chaos, and it really feels like our collective nervous system is hijacked by divisive politics and 24/7 news outlets, and of course by racism, bigotry, and all of the hateful rhetoric that's flying around right now. And just by being here with us, you are choosing to step outside of that nervous system hijacking, step outside of those racing thoughts, and taking a pause for yourself tonight. Taking a pause to return to a place of love, a place of care. It is possible. That place does exist. And by all of us coming together here regularly on Tuesday nights with this intention, we are proving that it exists. So I encourage you to keep showing up. And again, once you're here, please put a comment in the chat. I'd love to say hello and just let everyone know that you're joining us. Again, this is the first self-love sermon. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm hoping to go live on Instagram and Facebook and to share with you a self-love story, to have a self-love dialogue, and that'll kind of depend on you typing in the chat. I'll answer any questions live. I'll guide you in a meditation practice and in an embodiment practice, which is central to my work. So with tonight being our very first sermon, I thought it might be good to define what self-care even is. It is a very trendy term these days. I see it kind of flying around. And there's a lot of defensive self-care right now. Like, oh, it's not pedicures and manicures, it's not spending money. But then what is it? And to me, it's the maintenance work of self-love. Self-love is unconditional. That's the state that we want to arrive at. A state of having a friendship with yourself, a loving relationship with yourself. Hi Micah, hi Brenna, welcome. Good to see we've got some friends on for our first self-love sermon. So I was just defining what self-care is. And, you know, for me, it is that routine, that ritual that I try to do 4 or 5 times a week. I definitely am not every day spending an hour in self-care, but it's really become, to me, that hour-long ritual that I have carved out of my movement, my embodiment practice, my mindfulness practice, and a little bit of journaling, self-expression, or creativity. And some days it's 5 minutes. Some days it looks totally different. It might be getting to the end of the day and realizing, oh, I didn't self-care today. What do I need? Maybe what I need is to cook a luxurious meal for myself, or to spend 5 minutes connecting with my husband and really making eye contact, feeling his love for me. Anything can be self-care when we bring our intention to it, that intention to love ourselves. And by being here tonight or watching this recording later, taking a cozy moment for yourself, you are practicing self-care. So thank you. I think self-care has the power to change the world. And I hope that if you keep coming back to these sermons, that you will feel that as well. So that's how I define self-care. My definition has definitely broadened and shifted over time. My husband kind of knows, like, if I am self-caring and I've got like the door closed, like, don't bother me. There are boundaries around this time. And it is so, so sacred. Self-compassion is really the experience of bringing loving kindness, friendly attention, and curiosity and nurturing to our suffering. And there are definitely Buddhist undertones to sort of my definition of self-compassion. It's something that has changed my entire life, is this concept, which is really borrowed from Buddhism, of witnessing your suffering and seeing it as a choice, seeing it as something you have the power to step outside of. I forget who exactly said it, but they said pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And don't you feel the truth of that? Like, how often do we add new layers to our suffering because we become identified with it? We believe that it's part of us and that it's necessary and that maybe it's teaching us something, or, you know, there's something about it that's like God's plan, and therefore, you know, I can't really get rid of the suffering. This is my path. We become so identified with it. We think there is no other way. And I really am here to tell you it is not true. We do not have to suffer. It doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen. But when you discover this unconditional self-love, you begin to see that no matter what happens in your life, like, you will always have your own back. And what a sweet, sweet gift that is. I remember the first time that hit me. It was really after my spiritual awakening, is just what I call it. which wasn't long ago at all. It was really like 2016, 2017. So like 3 or 4 years ago, I was working in Washington, D.C., and I was definitely on the edge of that burnout that I mentioned. I was working all the time. And it was a culture of living to work. It was what my friends were doing. It's what my husband was doing. It was just kind of the air I was breathing, the water I was swimming around in, like that you have to work and you have to suffer and you have to sort of produce and create this output in order to have any worth and in order to get to this next level. But there was definitely a moment where I sort of paused and looked around and I was like, if I get to the top, whatever that means for my career path, but I'm miserable, as I see so many people around me are, people that are quote unquote successful, what the hell was the point? Like, life is too short. I don't want to suffer. I remember that sort of hitting me. And I became more and more interested in my meditation practice. I was lucky enough to go see Tara Brach teach every single week at the Insight Meditation Center of Washington, which she founded. So she's a huge influence on my life and my work. And that's when I call it my spiritual awakening. I just sort of realized I have an intuition. I have this thing that's guiding me, and I don't have to discount it, even though sort of society prioritizes the logical mind, the analytical mind, really like the masculine energy or the doing energy. When what I felt really strongly in me was this sort of receptivity, being energy, this desire to be still, to trust my own instincts, to trust myself, and to actually care about my experience and care about my suffering and find ways to nurture myself so that I didn't have to suffer. And I found more often than not, I was holding space for my friends and my family who were suffering. And I was realizing like I could do this work without burning out. And then I found out about coaching, and anyway, here we are today. And it's really been meaningful for me, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. I want to give this freely because I do think self-care has the power to change the world. It changed my world. I know that for some of my clients, it's changed their world. And for people that I've worked with, Caitlin says she's having trouble hearing me. Is that true on Instagram as well, I wonder? Maybe I should plug in headphones. Let me know on Instagram, guys, if you're having trouble hearing me. Thanks for letting me know, Caitlin. I would plug in headphones, but because I've got my my laptop going and my phone going, I'm not sure how that would work. Hi, Daniela, welcome. Can you guys hear me okay on Instagram? Because if so, Caitlin, I was gonna say maybe you could hop over to Instagram. Instagram apparently is working better than Facebook, so that is good to know. Do you know what it could be? I'm just now realizing. Obviously, this is the first one of these. So it could be, I have my laptop plugged into my monitor and the microphone, I'm just realizing, is far away from where I'm like directing my voice. So Caitlin, dear, if anyone else, it looks like we've got 3 viewers on Facebook. If you want to hop over to Luminous Leanings Instagram, it's just at Luminous Leanings. Apparently it's working a lot better there. I'm also happy to plug in my headphones and we can see how it goes. Keep me posted, guys. I need to know these things. I really appreciate it. And so good to see Lots of friends from our How Much Can You Love Yourself challenge. I'm so glad you're back with me. Let's see how this does. Headset. We're just rolling with it. Can you hear me now? If you're on Facebook Live and you are having difficulty hearing me, let me know if this is helping things out. It shouldn't affect the Instagram. All right, guys, we are still plugging along. So it's been about 15 minutes. I've been yammering on about self-care, self-love, self-compassion. Why don't we take a moment and practice together? Because mindfulness is really central to my work as a self-care coach. And I think it can be really, really useful on our path towards becoming our own best friend. I have a program called Become Your Own Soulmate. It's all about loving ourselves more, becoming that rock solid support that we all need for ourselves. So when we sit in stillness and we sit in silence, we can really practice becoming aware not only of our attitude towards ourselves, our relationship to ourself, but also our self-talk. What are the stories and beliefs that we're having? And also the sensations in the body. Perhaps tightness, the numbness, the places of neutrality, even places that feel good and spacious. We become aware of this entire inner landscape. It's not really bound by the limits of our skin. It feels expansive. Feels like it can go beyond those boundaries the more we sit with it. And I know if this is new for you, you might be thinking, oh God, here she is talking about meditation. But just allow yourself a moment of experimentation. Trying something new, closing the eyes. Take a deep breath in and out. And in and out. Become aware of the location of your breath. Do you feel it more readily in your chest, in your belly, in your throat? Do you feel it at the nostrils or at the mouth? Mine is definitely in the belly tonight. I feel that. It feels good to just sort of sink into that awareness of the breath. Sink into my own skin, into this body. Sink into your beautiful, precious body that deserves your loving care and support, that has gotten you this far. And just right away, thank your body for all that it does for you. Thank you, feet, for being my connection to the earth. Thank you, knees, for holding me up. Thank you, legs, for moving me about this earth. Thank you, hips, for letting me dance and move. Thank you, belly, and all of the digestive organs for nourishing me, giving me energy. Thank you, heart and chest area, for allowing me to feel so much love for this world. So much empathy and compassion. So much pain, but yes, so much joy too. Thank you, shoulders, for carrying so much weight. I can now release you. I can soften you down the back, away from my ears. Thank you, throat and vocal cords, for allowing me to express myself, to share what I know so that it might benefit others. Thanking your smile, the mouth that allows you to express your emotion. Thank you, nose, for letting me smell all the good things I smelled today. Thank you, eyes, for allowing me to see the beauty of the earth, the beauty of my loved ones. And thank you to my third eye, that point between the eyebrows, the seat of your intuition that allows you to see what is unseeable and unseen to our eyes. But what we can feel is truth. Thank you, body. Thank you, brain. Thank you, breath. Take another deep breath in and sigh it out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. That was such a sweet practice. I did not plan it. I have no notes. This really arises from my intuition, from a channeling of what I need to hear and what I believe we all need to hear. Our bodies deserve our gratitude. Isn't it true? It feels really good. So I mentioned our nervous systems before. Nervous system regulation is a huge part of self-care. Again, it's that maintenance work of self-love. And it's a form of nurturing and bringing compassion to our experience, whether we're hijacked, as I said, or suffering, or we're just delusional. Sometimes our brains create so many stories about what's going on, trying to make sense of our reality, but they don't know better than our bodies. We can really drop into our body wisdom through mindfulness and meditation practice, through nervous system regulation and embodiment, and receive messages from our body's wisdom. Our bodies are ancient. They hold on to our experiences. Often they need to release traumas in our past, in our ancestors' past. Some say past lives. I think also just the collective trauma of the experience. of what it is to be human and what it is to be human in this moment, to be a human in 2020. Like, oh my goodness, can you just feel all of the compassion that that experience might need? I can. And so by now you might be thinking, okay, I get it. I get that I need to bring some nurturing to my experience, but when I try to practice, this overwhelming sense of unworthiness surfaces for me. I'm going to take one headphone out because I'm having trouble hearing myself. And this is a really, really common experience. You start practicing self-care, you start practicing, embodiment and mindfulness, and then all of these red flags come up. Like, whoa, 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 who do you think you are to carve out time and space for yourself? Like, nobody has time for that, right? Like, who would actually be deserving of that? And maybe that's a good place to start. Like, can you imagine who would actually deserve to practice self-care? It's an interesting thought experiment. The Buddha said you can search the entire world and you won't find someone who is more worthy than you. The problem is there's so many coverings that we place over our worthiness, that we allow others to place over our worthiness, the conditioning of society, the conditioning of, our families, our genetics, the conditionings of patriarchy, of white supremacy, of colonialism and capitalism, and all of the isms and all of the systems that condition us to believe we're not worthy. And you can see this in children. Children inherently are joyful. It's innate. There's less conditioning. There's less coverings over their worthiness. They're connected to it naturally. Not all children, but just, go with me here on this. Kids are so great because they don't really ask. They just play and they kind of do what they want and they have that freedom. And obviously, as we get older, we have responsibilities. But I think one of those responsibilities is to reconnect to our worthiness and reconnect to our own goodness and that truth that we knew when we were young, that not only do we need nurturing and space and time for things that just feel good, but that we actually are worthy of them. And that's the thing about kids, like they build these like forts and these spaces that are so sacred to them with like their pillows and their blankets, and they make it so cozy and they're very in the moment, very present. So I invite you to bring some of that into your own practice and create like a self-care fort for yourself. So this is mine. This is my office, but it's also my little self-care den. And I think no matter how you live, you can find a space that is like your holy ground, a space to return to for your self-care practice, maybe every day, or maybe once a week or once a month, or whenever you remember. But don't underestimate the power of a carved space, a space that you've decorated with your intention for self-care. And it doesn't have to have, the perfect art or the perfect meditation altar or the perfect cushion or You know, it doesn't need any of that. All it needs is your intention. And I'm going to show you a little trick. I meant to do this at the beginning, but I got distracted. So a really great way to draw instant boundaries around your space and your time and your intention for self-care is to light a candle. Like, have you ever noticed how lighting a candle can like really set the mood? Like maybe it's been, you know, a romantic mood, like on a date, or, you know, maybe it's just you. And so I invite you, if you haven't already, to light a candle or light some incense or get out some essential oils. Get the aromatherapy kind of going for yourself. I usually do use a candle because it's also a visual reminder. Like, I can see it burning. I can focus on the flame as a part of my mindfulness practice. And it's also just nice to be reminded of the element of fire. I am an Aries after all. And in so many rituals, and we can talk about rituals, maybe one of these sermons will be focused on rituals, but a lot of rituals bring fire into them because you can actually write down your intentions and burn them. It's a form of release. So let your fire, your candle, be a symbol of your own release. Release from the day, release from the world's expectations for you, your expectations of yourself, like whatever you need to release. Let this candle symbolize that for you. I'm gonna put it here. You can't see it, I'm sorry. But I can see it. And so sometimes I'll just say to myself, like, as long as this candle is burning, I am practicing sacred self-care. And that in itself is a ritual. It's something I do and practice that has a deeper meaning, and it helps me make meaning of this time. I think, you know, sometimes we try to really overcomplicate self-care. We think, oh, well, I need to get like a yoga subscription online, or, I need to have a unique guided meditation every day that aligns perfectly with what's going on in my life. And it's like, it's nice to be guided, but you actually don't need any of that. All you need is the space and the time and your intention. Sometimes it can be easier to care for ourselves when we have these nice little tools, like the candle or the essential oils or a guide, like a guided meditation, guided movement practice, or like a special journal prompt, which I love creating. Go to luminousleanings.com. I've created a lot of freebies there for you. But all you really need is like a blank piece of paper. Don't be afraid to just begin. You don't have to wait. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to be brave. And it does require courage. I think that surprised me. I had all these assumptions that when I started to care for myself, it would just be a lot of time, and that was such a luxury that I didn't have. But what it really took was courage. I mean, have you ever experienced that? Why should it take courage to do something in the privacy of your own home? Like something that only you know you're doing, whether it's meditation or embodiment or trying a yoga class for the first time. Like if it's an online class or no one can see you, why does it sometimes feel so scary? It's because of vulnerability. Self-love absolutely requires your vulnerability. And as Brene Brown says, that's one of the most courageous things we can have, is vulnerability. And that we should really see it as a sign of strength. It's an inner strength. And self-love is like the greatest skill in your toolkit if you cultivate it and grow it and expand it. Because no matter what happens, like if you make a mistake in life, if you go down the wrong road, as long as you're loving yourself, I bet your intuition will be sharpened. You'll be able to instinctively feel like something's not right. I need to make a change. And rather than attaching to your own mistake, you're going to be able to release it more readily. Because you're going to remember that intention. I don't want to suffer. I don't have to suffer. I am worthy. I am worthy of feeling good. I am worthy of feeling pleasure and joy and happiness, even though I've made mistakes. Even though I will continue to make mistakes and be flawed, I still believe that I am worthy in this moment of making that U-turn and feeling better. Isn't that interesting? So it really requires courage to care for ourselves. It requires courage to remember that you're worthy, because it requires courage to actually claim your pleasure. Like, especially as women in this culture, I really believe pleasure has become such a dirty word. And it's one of my purposes here in life to reclaim it for myself and to bring others home to it, to its goodness. Right now, I'm reading a book by Gabby Bernstein. She wrote The Universe Has Your Back. She writes a lot of books based on the sacred text, A Course in Miracles. And right now I'm reading her book, what is it called? Oh, Super Attractor. And it's all about, manifestation and the power of attraction, the law of attraction. It's really good. It's really good. It's reminding me of these important lessons that, like, not only is it okay to feel good, it's safe. It's not bad or dirty or wrong. And not only am I like worthy of it inherently, but actually the more we allow ourselves to feel good, the more good we will attract. That's a big thing that she keeps repeating. Oh, Emily can't hear me either, even though I have in the headset. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. But if you want, you can hop over to @LuminousLeanings on Instagram. I'm sorry that the audio is not working very well. I'm going to try to troubleshoot that before next week. But apparently Instagram audio is doing okay. So maybe join me over there. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so back to feeling good. Not only are you worthy, but when you feel good, the universe will actually respond with more of the same. And I think a lot about this in terms of gratitude. Like, there's something that happens when we say thank you, that we actually allow ourselves to receive the gift. Hi, Emily, welcome. Sorry about that. I'm glad you're here. It allows us to receive the gift even more when we say thank you. Like, have you ever been complimented for how you look and sort of rejected it? Like, oh no, like, oh, like your dress looks good. Oh, this old thing, it's that like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm going to put that boundary up, What if you just said thank you? Like, what if someone complimented you and you were just like, thank you? I think there's a fear that we're going to come off as like haughty or, full of ourselves. And that's been very ingrained in us. Like for me, from a young age, like especially like in a Christian home, to be sort of like, to be humble and to definitely like not accept gifts when they're given to us. I mean, Christmas at my family's house is like a freaking marathon of who can do a better job of rejecting each other's gifts. And it's so interesting because actually when we say thank you, we feel the pleasure that the gift giver intended. Because how does it feel to give someone a gift and have them be like, oh, you really shouldn't have? And you see the anguish on their face of like wanting to accept it but not wanting to appear a certain way. Let's all just accept our gifts and be grateful. And anyway, this all comes full circle, I guarantee, because we're talking about pleasure and we're talking about becoming a magnet for good things. So right now, I invite you to just close your eyes with me. Bring something to mind that you're grateful for. See it very clearly, all the details. It can be a person, a thing, an experience. Do not judge any part of this. Can you say, thank you? Thank you to the universe, or to your God, or to the one who gave it to you, or the person that it is. Thank you. Perhaps place a hand on your heart. Thank you. How does it feel to be grateful? Does it feel expansive? Maybe a buzzing. Notice how it feels for you and where. Allow yourself to smile. Even just smiling can be a form of meditation because it's receptive. And connect with the part of you that is grateful. What does this part of you believe about yourself? About your own worthiness, about your deserving of this thing that you're grateful for. Yeah, just bring curiosity to that experience of being grateful. See if it connects you to worthiness, to pleasure. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I feel like when I connect to my gratitude, I connect to my worthiness. Like those things, those blessings in our life want our attention, our focus, our space. So give it to them. See how more blessings show up, more miracles manifest. And soon these positive experiences, these blessings are going to expand to take over your mind, your thoughts, your feelings. Like when you go for a walk, you'll start to notice, wait, were all these flowers here yesterday? Was the sky this blue? It's seriously like falling in love with the whole world. When we train our awareness, we begin to see miracles around us because we begin to expect them. And it shifts our experience. It shifts our suffering into so much pleasure. No longer are we focused on the ego, the things that we thought defined us yesterday. We can be focused on that piece of ourselves that is worthy, that is made brighter and lighter and more joyful by our gratitude. It's so sweet. I did not expect to spend so long talking about gratitude and pleasure, but I think it's a really good place to start for these self-love sermons because it all comes back to worthiness. And if you're feeling unworthy, you're gonna have some trouble caring for yourself. So let's try to nip that in the bud right away, dear ones. You are worthy of feeling good in your body. If you feel comfortable right now, say that out loud with me. I am worthy of feeling good in my body. I am worthy of joy. I am worthy of not suffering. I am worthy of focusing on what matters. It's radical to accept our own worthiness. And it can feel really shameful and really scary at first. But I promise the more we practice it, the more we say it to ourselves and show it to ourselves through our gentle touch and our attention, the more we're going to believe it. So let me share with you a few things that sort of set the groundwork for your self-care practice. A few really, really easy practices you can do at any time. So the nervous system regulation we talked about before. The best, quickest, most efficient way to regulate your nervous system is to take a deep, mindful breath in and out. So let's do it together, breathing in and out. In and out. Your breath is always with you. As long as you're alive, you have this breath in your lungs. You can become aware of it. You can manipulate it. You can lengthen the inhales, lengthen the exhales. You can hold your breath for a few seconds and sigh it out through the mouth, or slowly exhale through the nose. You can practice alternate nostril breathing. We're going to practice all of these breathing techniques together over the course of these self-love sermons. It's one of my favorite things to share with people because you can instantly see the effects of self-care. The eyes get brighter. You can't help but smile. It feels so good to become aware of the breath and to oxygenate the blood, oxygenate the brain, the heart, every part of your body. You can allow the breath to represent your awareness, and where the breath goes, allow your awareness to meet it. Allow your energy to meet it, your intention, your love, your curiosity, your compassion. The breath can represent all of these things. I want you to practice something when you're having trouble sleeping. I want you to begin at the feet and imagine each breath, each inhale and exhale taking you from one body part to the next, relaxing as you go up the body, eventually to the crown of the head. I did this last night. I've been having trouble sleeping, and it really helped me. It regulated my nervous system. It's that simple. We are animals. We have bodies. And we also have these brains that are so apparently evolved, but can really cause us a lot of suffering, trying to save us all the time, thinking that things are threats that aren't actually life or death. I'm talking about stress. But we can regulate the nervous system. We can come back into our bodies to leave the thinking mind and to feel good. That good feeling that we're all so afraid of releasing into. So the breath is a really, really good way to practice self-care. Another one is mantra. I love mantra. I love it so much. Every morning I try to come up with a mantra for my day, and it always starts, may I be something. May I be nurtured. May I feel nourished. May I be awakened. Lately it's been, may I be awakened to my own role in white supremacy and the ways I benefit from my white privilege. May I be part of the solution. It's really your intention. That's why mantra is so sweet. It comes from a part of you that is pure and good. Can't you connect with that? Can't you see that? I invite you right now to come up with a short mantra for the rest of your day. Danielle Laporte would say, what do you want to feel? She wrote the desire map and talks about these core desired feelings and how every goal and intention and strategy can be traced back to a feeling that you want to have. And feelings can get there in many different ways, but if you want to feel rested tonight, then perhaps it's just, may I be rested? May I feel rested, restful? May I choose activities that calm and nourish my nervous system, allow my mind to be at ease, and to find easy sleep tonight. That is my wish for all of you. Mantra is so powerful. It's really magical. I write mine down. I have a whiteboard on the other side of this office door, and I write down my mantra so I can see it. I invite you to do the same. May I be well. May I be joyful. That's a big one. And then when I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be joyful. Okay. Because how quickly we forget. We forget the part of us that's longing to feel better, longing to not suffer. We need to be reminded. So that's mantra. So breath, mantra, and then touch. Touch is another big one for me. You'll see me a lot put my hand on my heart. My heart is the seat of my self-compassion. It is the source for me, the source of the divine within me. I can bring a hand there and draw on my own inner reserves of resilience, love, peace, goodness. To me, it feels like my home. I can come home. I find myself putting a hand there when I'm holding space for others, which as a coach, I do a lot. Or as a friend or as a wife, just that's where the genuine compassion for others comes from. It comes from within. We have to start here. When we love ourselves, it naturally spills over into all relationships, even into the whole world. I think it is possible to love the whole world. I often challenge people to imagine, like, what if our world leaders actually practice self-compassion? What might shift? But we can't wait for others to practice. We can start right now. We don't need to wait another minute. It is available. It is accessible to you at all times. And I know you believe it, or you wouldn't be here. Deep down, part of you knows that that is true. And you want to connect more to it. Anyway, the touch. So I'm bringing a hand to the body. Sometimes for me, it's the belly. It can carry so much tension there, so much tightness and discomfort, a lot of holding. Our fascia is the connective layer of tissue right below our skin. It encapsulates all of our organs, and it holds a lot of emotions. When we bring a hand there, the hand can really help release that counter pressure. We can send the intention through our hand. May I be at ease. The mantra. You can have a little mantra for your body. Different body parts probably need different words. So with my hand on my belly right now, I might just send it, may you soften. May you relax. May you feel secure. May you digest properly and be at ease and have no suffering. We're made up of many parts. We can send each of them what they need, which is unique. We can send each of them our compassion, our care. You can send it through the hands. I know it's taboo to touch our body. Claire just came on the Facebook group and said, what is this? This is the self-love sermon. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Claire, I would invite you to hop onto Instagram. We're having some technical issues on Facebook. So if you go to Instagram at Luminous Leanings, we are wrapping up now. We will get the tech issues fixed for next week. Sorry, everyone. But anyway, yes, it can be taboo to touch the body, but as we go on this journey together, I'm going to show you some different ways you can kind of get over that, and eventually it'll feel so intrinsically good to touch your own body, to hold your body with loving care, to allow your touch to be a symbol of that compassion and self-love, that it won't matter if it's awkward. It won't matter that you've been conditioned to not touch your body or to think that it's wrong. Because the more you do it, the more safe you will feel. Well, dear ones, I really hope that you got something out of being here tonight. If you did, I invite you to put it in the chat. Let's all hold space for each other, for our experience. We are all here intending to love ourselves more deeply. And something I'll close with is just an inquiry. So you can close the eyes as I ask you these questions. Breathing, landing in the body again, landing in your first home. Can you connect with self-love? If self-love feels too out of reach, can you connect with self-compassion? If self-compassion does not feel accessible, can you connect with self-care? If caring for yourself still feels out of reach, can you connect with the part of yourself that intends to care for yourself? the part that wants to care for yourself. And if that part is still out of reach, can you just bring curiosity to your own experience? Asking yourself, what drew me here tonight to this self-love sermon?